Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Share Your Grin / us ranting about shows that I watch, have enjoyed, and just need to talk about. Also, this is one of those times where unfortunately I got to a show pretty early. Usually I get to shows pretty late. We are also talking about This Is Not Okay. This is the Netflix show that they just released. It's made by the same people that have made The End of the World as well as Stranger Things. So both shows very loved, very critically acclaimed. One had an ending. The Stranger Things, of course, is still going on. Alas, yes. Usually I would title these something like Season 2 News, which I do have some news. Usually every time I finish a Netflix series, I go ahead and type into Google Season 2, basically, to see what the hell the news is about Season 2. Basically, the show has had pretty decent success from what I understand. I watched the show like 3 weeks after it released, which is not enough time for Netflix to renew it. It usually has to go through a couple months to see if it is going to be renewed. So yes. Also, just a quick side thing, while I was like reading the article that was talking about This Is Not Okay Season 2, they also mentioned that, Daybreak? The Netflix, the first thing that started me like ranting and raving about Netflix shows, because I found that there was no one on YouTube doing it, and that's what I always like to see after I finish a show, is see what other people think. But regardless, I come to find out that Daybreak was renewed and then canceled. So that's a bummer. Daybreak canceled. Just a quick little PSA. Real sad about it. I thought the show was cute and like enjoyable and goofy. And I thought it was different. I thought it was a show that actually tried to be different in a landscape that is very samey. And this show, ladies and gentlemen, hits the same mark. This is a show that is very, very different in a landscape that is very samey. And I would highly advise it. So this is my kind of alarm that spoilers, and we're going to be talking about the happenings of Season 1, as well as a quick little PSA. It does look, again, pretty good that we are going to get a Season 2 because there's been a ton of traffic on, or it's been in Netflix top 10 best viewed for a couple weeks now, for the first 2 or 3 weeks, but who knows, maybe we'll just plummet. But that usually means good odds of getting a Season 2 because it's fairly popular, as well as people have been tweeting about it quite a bit, so that also intensifies the aspect of potentially getting a Season 2, as well as it's being made by the guy who made Stranger Things and End of the Fucking World, which, yes, I feel like he's built up enough good credit with Netflix to give him this if he chooses to partake in it, which does definitely feel like one of those shows that you do need a Season 2, if only because this show is too consumable, alright? Especially by Netflix's like animalistic standard of consumption, which they've conditioned us to like watch 40 minutes of a show with like 12 episodes, and we just gorge. And then they give us this show, which is expertly shot, very well paced, and it's only 20 minutes per episode, and there's only 7 goddamn episodes. So feel bitter, feel annoyed, but very good show. I would highly advise watching it. And now we're going to get into Season 1, ranting and raving about things. Spoilers all around. Kind of becomes a little podcast, honestly. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, The End of the World is well, first of all, our girl, I should have probably mentioned what the show was before I did the spoiler warning. Who cares? Regardless, our girl has telekinetic powers / some sort of weirdness, right? Very understandable. Stranger Things, telekinetic girl, yes. But not only is it a show about like telekinesis, but we have a misfit character who happens to be a girl as well. A misfit, like not a lot of friends, very quiet, which very much feels like this is a love letter to Carrie, a movie way back in the day that had a so-so reboot that is about a girl who had telekinetic powers with a ruthlessly religious mom who made her hate the world, basically, and just also horrible people all in that school, and she fucking eviscerated all of them. Anywho, the show does a great job about like pacing as well. Just something quickly I just thought about. It does that thing where it shows you the end of the season in the first 10 seconds of the show to like build up intrigue into like, okay, this is the show that like is gonna get somewhere. It's not just some sort of teen drama where it's like, look, I can make something levitate. It's like, nope, our girl ends up caked in a lot of blood. A lot of blood. Or frantically running through the street while police are chasing her, or supposedly police are chasing her. So it builds intrigue, and then it pays that forward throughout the entire course of the show. Again, this is made by people, Stranger Things and End of the World, which is so good at just film creation itself. Now, Now screw it. Let's keep piling on the things I really enjoyed about the show, because I think they're fantastic. One of the things I really liked, the narration of the main character's mind. I feel like that was a way for you to understand where she's coming from, but also empathize greatly with her. Whereas with shows like this, you don't always feel like, sometimes, like, again, especially with her character, which is very like sarcastic, I guess is the good way to put it. Like, she's very sarcastic and she constantly fires back, and she'll like push just for the sake of pushing. She won't even like, it's not like a give and take. It's just like a nudge, 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 Actually, there was one time when she mentions the zits on her leg, and she's like, okay. And she finally like takes a nudge instead of pushing. The main character, very endearing. Just the way she sees the world, and the way you definitely get that like weird teen struggle kind of connection almost, because she's going through a lot of shit. But then, oh boy, is she going through a lot of shit, I will say, just to like highlight some of my favorite moments throughout the show. Well, not even my favorite moments, the heartbreaking moments for me. One of them was, oh my god, dude, my favorite character, Homeboy, who's just like the goddamn best, who's just like got a weird ass fashion sense. He seems like confident, but also like a little edgy. What's the word? Hipster. He's a bit of a hipster, you know what I mean? But he's proud of that as well. Yeah, he was fantastic. He was one of my favorite parts of the whole show, especially for like he contrasts perfectly with her, which is she's very like to herself, quiet, and he's very like a showman almost, like a theater person who's very loud and just does him, you know what I mean? Which is nice to contrast her. I will say, dude, it broke my heart, man. Especially like, because there was a scene, I think in like episode 2 or 3, where what do you call it? They end up sleeping together, and what do you call it? There's something that she says, and at this point my heart dropped, because I was just like, oh no, where she basically hints that like she did it, but something felt off, and then I'm like, oh, and then of course they really layered on thick of like her looking at her best friend with googly eyes, and it's like, oh. And I thought it would be so funny, because just the nature of that dude character in the show, who's like her best friend or whatever, or her male best friend, I guess. I thought it'd be so cool if there was a scene where it's just like, so like, are you like bisexual, or is it like, am I lost? Like, have I lost, or is there hope? I would have loved if there was that like understanding, because he does seem pretty emotionally smart too. So it'd be cool for him to like see, like, I thought that would have been an endearing moment that they didn't do, which was for him to see like the way that she looks at her best friend, and be like, oh, shitty kind of thing. But I don't know, dude, as soon as she said that, I was just like, oh no. But also they had that moment where like with the weird zit thing, where he completely like, he did like such a cool bro moment, which was, look how gross I am, and she's like, yeah, you're gross, yuck. And he's just like, I know, right? With skull shattering confidence about like, it's disgusting, whatever kind of idea. And I was like, oh, it's super endearing. And then of course stuff happens, which is nice for him, but then also the overarching negative, which is the fact that he seems to be more of an emotional person who connects with people emotionally and not physically, so to speak. So it's just like, oh, you lost that emotional thing, dude. Ooh, sorry. Which was a bummer. Which was a super big bummer, especially again considering how well they like bank off of each other. Goddamn sexual attraction. Why? Let's keep going into that. The things with her friend seem very kind of scattered, but also they make sense. Again, like this is from a director who did Stranger Things and The End of the Effing World, which is a person who, in my opinion, those shows do a very good job about conveying the way the person feels, to where you don't even feel like there's any enemies in terms of like the dynamic group. Hell, even the dude who was the jock, who is like kind of a dickhead in like I don't know, maybe just because I've seen way worse shows with way worse people, but he seemed like a dickhead, but like not evil, you know what I mean? Like there's some shows where like, especially Carrie's a great example, where like these girls are just evil, like they dump blood on her, they spit venom, it's just awful, and you're like, okay, all of you can die. At the end of the show, instead of like convincing me that this person would be good or better if he wasn't in the world, instead they make me root for the main character way more, which is kind of cool. You can like kind of do either, and I think it works. In fact, I would honestly suggest doing the idea of making the character relatable, likable enough to where you just want to see them be okay. It's not about this guy getting what he deserves, which he did at the end because he was being a real big dickhead, said a lot of bad things. But again, I don't know, like, he said a bunch of mean words, but to me, like, again, dumping blood on somebody, like, again, Carrie is the thing I, like, pull from, where it's like, oh, these people are monsters. like, they're gonna grow up to be serial killers, this level of lack of empathy. But, putting all that aside, the ending, which is her frantically running from the police caked in blood, well, we end up finding out that this is, honestly, I thought I seen this coming from a mile away, which I'm happy my expectations got diverted, which I definitely thought it was going to be this weird, like, you told my girlfriend that I cheated on her, I hate you, anger, and then him getting super drunk, being super angry, and already showing that he's, like, not afraid of getting super physical, like smashing a locker and all that stuff. To me, I was just like, oh, okay, this is like setting up, and again, I've watched stuff like Carrie, which is gross, horrible people, monsters in that movie. Regardless, I thought this was going to end up in like a sexual assault kind of thing, which I was like, oh, okay, it didn't end up that way, and instead it ended up in a way that, to me, again, it was like a little, I don't know how to put it. It was unexpected. I didn't expect them to do that, like go balls. I thought it would be one of those things where he does the same locker smash and, I don't know, maybe forces to kiss her or something like that, and then she pops him and like kills him in like the hallway alone at like prom. I thought that was gonna happen, and then she was just gonna fucking book it because she was terrified of the fact that she just killed somebody. But no, they ended it in a way that's very interesting, which is, nope, she popped this motherfucker's head in the middle of the gymnasium. Everybody got caked in blood except for little hero who got dropped in one punch, but also stood up for her, which is nice. And then she just fucking dips. And I think it's pretty obvious. Also, there's a light beaming on me right now, so I'm just super overexposed and bright. So forgive me. Actually, maybe we should fix that. Let's fix that. I look like a fucking ghost. Are we better? Slightly. Only slightly. I look more pink. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, back to what we're talking about. I'm almost certain about a couple things. I'm very sure that what's going to basically happen is one of two things. One of the things is that they've basically shown that this person that she once loved, this guy, literally had his brain exploded all over her. She froze. She's also terrified of the fact that, he died. Sadness. But also, I think she's probably going to anchor herself more to her best friend, and then this is going to create some sort of tension where you're anchoring yourself to me. Why? Because I lost my father, and I've been through this kind of loss, sadness, depression, but also you're my only real friend, so I'm going to anchor myself to you, only to realize, or only to put more strain on you because you were the thing that killed this person that caused me this whole trauma, right? So I can see this being the kind of emotional annoyance, which, yes, that's not creative. It's not, yeah. Then again, maybe they don't do that. Maybe she becomes super skeptical about her best friend. That could be different and interesting, although I wouldn't want to see that because that's sad. So I think that's what's going to happen with the one girl, with her friend. But with the dude who got dropped, the one thing that they did end on is him like fucking the shit out of the diary, which I definitely think he's basically going to snag the diary, quickly hide it, and just fucking run away, and probably burn the diary. I think that is basically going to cement him being like in this, like being her like, what do you call it? Mr. Miyagi is what he said. But I think that's going to be what's going to happen. I think he's going to be the Mr. Miyagi, and then that like Shadow Master person is going to be the other guy, the other teacher, like the dark. Because he already in the end, the very end, she says, "Should I be afraid of you?" And he says, "No, they should be afraid." Now I heard some speculation on, like, when I was trying to see if there was going to be a season 2, about people saying that, like, hey, this is going to basically be, this was her father. And I was like, I don't think it's her father. Although they do a lot of clever things where they never show us her father's face. They never show us like anything like that. They never just get into that whole bit of it. And the cloaked figure seems to be always cloaked, so who knows? Maybe this is her father, although I would highly doubt it, because we never heard her father's voice either, so we have nothing to compare it to, and I just couldn't see that being the case. There's an idea that her father could be alive still. I don't know. Regardless, I think it's just a person who's, again, like if Nerd Boy is Mr. Miyagi, this guy is the other teacher in the Karate Kid, which is like that guy who's like, kill him at any cost, right? Like he's the bad, he's the chaos, and Mr. Miyagi is peace and serenity, right? So I think that's probably going to be the weird roles that they're gonna fix. But I do think that, I am excited because you definitely, this guy, this shadow monster, is definitely going to help clean her up, get her to using her powers. But I bet it's going to be through the idea of chaos and like just having this ravenous power. I do think though it's going to normalize a lot. I think it's going to normalize very quickly. The only thing that will be interesting is if they're going to do that thing where, like, in the first 3 episodes, they're going to do that thing where she's kind of a different person because she meets this, like, shadow master. He ends up cleaning her up, telling her about her powers. She ends up feeling a little less alone, but then also he's a chaos kind of person. Like, he's like, they should be afraid, so he's kind of a bad guy. So maybe she's going to start to basically channel like a rebel, go through that phase, that punk phase, and then inevitably become being anchored back to her friends, the nerd dude and the one girl. So they could do that for like the first opening part of season 2, or I think it's probably going to be that like weird training kind of thing, like again like a sensei kind of vibe where he's going to like clean her up, get the blood off of her, tell her that she's, it wasn't her fault or that they deserved it or whatever. She's probably going to run away. And now she knows the person following her isn't like going to try to kill her, but instead wants to win her over. And then I think that's going to be like the kind of dichotomy for the whole thing, as well as, again, just having seen the show, it's not going to go down the road of like, here's a fighting montage of you training. Ooh, it's going to go down the montage of like her friend anchoring herself to the person that killed her ex-boyfriend or whatever, and made her experience this trauma. I do, I think. Although there was that kind of moment where it did seem like her friend. Well, it does seem like her friend loves her, right? Like there is this love for her. But when they were dancing, she also said that she wasn't opposed to being in that way either. So it's like, I don't know. That's a weird kind of thing where there's like, I love my buddy, my bro, my best friend in the world. But if you add like, I also like am down to do that, it's like, okay, well then this has become a different kind of love at this point, So I don't know. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, I am not okay with this is what the show is called. It's very cute. I will say that was the one thing that I already kind of talked about a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to kind of explain. It's a weird thing for me, but like the one of the shows that I can kind of compare it to is a show that I very much enjoy, and I know it's like on trash TV, but I really enjoy like the first 3 seasons when he became an alpha and then he stopped. Basically, it's called Teen Wolf. It's a show that I very much enjoy. It kind of messes around with a similar premise of like, oh, you have this, like, you're in the heights of puberty, but also you have like superpowers, and you're having to deal with all of this horrible shit. Go team. So I really do like that dichotomy of like stuff, but I do feel that I kind of felt that way in this when I was watching the show. It was kind of hard to connect with the main character, although it was interesting understanding a person's perspective, I guess. So again, it's not that I didn't enjoy it, like the fact that she seems to be a lesbian, as well as she seems to be on like the more rougher side, like she seems to not be effeminate, so to speak. Instead, she seems to be more like witty and funny and goofy and of that nature, which is all interesting. But it's almost like one of those weird moments where like I can't exactly relate. Besides some of the pimple things, you know what I mean? Whereas in Teen Wolf, because I'm a guy and I see there's this guy going through, or who also is going through this stuff, but also has like the same morals as me, which is interesting. In that show, I was able to kind of like connect with that person a little bit more. Whereas because the main character, I mean, you kind of understand her. Well, she doesn't really have morals, it seems. Well, she kind of has morals, but it's not like, yeah, it's weird. Like Scott Coffin, that's in the Teen Wolf show, that to me, you really do understand, like, his battle with not wanting to do these things, not wanting to kill, not wanting to be a part of this group, and yeah, to me it shows. But then again, maybe I'm looking back in like rose-colored glasses because I haven't watched a show in a while, but I do remember me like feel like that's why I enjoyed it, is I connected with those characters and I resonated with them. But then again, I think it's fantastic that if there's a person out there who's very similar to the main character, who's going, trying to face their sexuality and all that stuff, it's cool that you have a person that has superpowers and maybe makes you feel less alone and all these things. I think it'd be really cool if there was a Netflix show that also had like a male protagonist who had a similar beat, but also done in such a brilliant way too. But yes, just a side thing. I was thinking about that when I was watching. I was just like, I like it because it's different, but I don't exactly like connect and resonate with the character, the main character, a little bit. Then again, I don't think we have enough to know about her besides like the fact that she's just kind of lost in the world, which I think some of us can relate to, but we don't know too many things, which is we only know about like the way her powers affect her and the way her dad's death affects her and stuff like that, like emotional relationship kind of things, but not exactly morality surrounding like her powers and all these things. But maybe that's what we'll find out in the second season, because now she popped some dude's head. So now it's like, oh, maybe it's time you face this and control this thing, or guide this thing, grow this thing in a direction that is of your life. Oh, sweet Jesus. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. This has been a Share Your Grin, which is a series that I very much enjoy. And also, this is the end, or I am not okay with this. It's what this is called, this Netflix show. It is fantastic. I would highly suggest it. I very much enjoyed it, and I really hope we get a season 2, because if we don't, then it's just going to be, again, 7 episodes, 20 minutes apiece, not enough, all right? Give me more, please. Also, I hope dearly that our nerd dude finds something, okay? Because he deserves it. He seems like a catch and just such a solid dude, all right? That's my other thing. I just really hope he finds somebody. And I hope it's not like grazed off, you know what I mean? Maybe it's another telekinetic woman. That's what they did in Teen Wolf, honestly. And then they fucked it up. They fucked it up real bad. Like in Teen Wolf, Styles, best character in the whole show, finally gets like a very endearing like fox person, woman, and she's very nice, very sweet. And then they're like, but what if no? And we reduce all of that to cinders, and then the last 6 seasons are trash. Anyways, the last 2 seasons are trash. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Subscribe button right over there, as well as 2 videos further that way. Thank you again for your time. I see you, and goodbye. Also, if you like the video, I extra see you. All right, bye.